Daniel 6. It pleased Darius to appoint over the reign 120 viceroys to be over all the reign, and over them 3 governors, of whom Daniel was one, so that these viceroys should give account to them, and the king suffer no loss. Then this Daniel distinguished himself above the governors and viceroys, because an excellent ruach was in him, and the king planned to appoint him over all the reign. Then the governors and viceroys sought to find occasion against Daniel concerning the reign, but they were unable to find occasion or corruption, because he was steadfast, and no negligence or corruption was found in him. Then these men said, "We shall not find any occasion against this Daniel, unless we find it against him, concerning the law of his Allah." Then these governors and viceroys tumultuously gathered before the king, and said this to him, "King Darius, live forever. All the governors of the reign, the nobles and viceroys, the counselors and advisers, have consulted together to establish a royal decree and to make a strong interdict, that whoever petitions any Allah or a man for 30 yomim except you, O king, is thrown into the den of lions. Now, O king, establish the interdict and sign the writing, so that it is not to be changed, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not pass away." So King Darius signed the written interdict, and Daniel, when he knew that the writing was signed, went home, and in his upper room, with his windows open toward Jerusalem, he knelt down on his knees 3 times per yom, and prayed and gave thanks before his Allah, as he had done before. Then these men tumultuously gathered, and found Daniel praying and entreating before his Allah. Then they approached the king, and spoke concerning the king's interdict. "Have you not signed an interdict that every man who petitions any Allah, or a man within 30 yomim, except you, O king, is thrown into the den of lions?" The king answered and said, "The word is certain, according to the law of the Medes and Persians, which does not pass away." Then they answered and said before the king, "Daniel, who is one of the sons of the exile from Yehudah, pays no heed to you, O king, nor for the interdict that you have signed, but makes his petition 3 times per yom." Then the king, when he heard these words, was greatly displeased with himself, and set his heart on Daniel to deliver him. And he labored till the going down of the sun to deliver him. Then these men tumultuously gathered before the king, and said to the king, "Know, O king, that it is the law of the Medes and Persians, that any interdict or decree which the king establishes is not to be changed." Then the king gave orders, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the den of lions. But the king spoke and said to Daniel, "Your Allah, whom you serve continually, he himself delivers you." And a stone was brought and laid on the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet and with the signets of his great men, that the situation concerning Daniel might not be changed. And the king went to his palace and spent the Lila fasting. And no entertainment was brought before him, and his sleep fled from him. Then the king rose up very early in the morning, and hurried to the den of lions. And when he came to the den, he called with a grieved voice to Daniel. The king spoke and said to Daniel, "Daniel, servant of the living Allah, has your Allah, whom you serve continually, been able to deliver you from the lions?" Then Daniel said to the king, "O king, live forever. My Allah has sent his messenger, and has shut the lions' mouths, and they did not harm me, because I was found innocent before him, and also before you. O king, I have done no harm." Then the king was very glad, and gave orders that Daniel be taken up out of the den. And Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no harm was found on him, because he trusted in his Allah. And the king gave orders, And they brought those men who had accused Daniel, and they threw them, their children and their wives, into the den of lions. And the lions overpowered them, and broke all their bones in pieces before they reached the floor of the den. Then King Darius wrote to all peoples Goyim and languages that dwell in all the Eretz, Peace be increased to you. From before me is made a decree that throughout every rule of my reign men are to tremble and fear before the Allah of Daniel, for he is the living Allah and steadfast forever. And his reign is one which is not destroyed, and his rule is to the end. He delivers and rescues, and he works signs and wonders in the Shemayim and on Aretz, for he has delivered Daniel from the power of the lions. And this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Koresh the Persian.